Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Aspero webinar about the Sonico 3.0. Maybe some other people will join in later. Happy to see such a big group. But we'll start, and if other people will join in later, that's perfect. That's no problem at all. So let's start. Go here. Yeah. Let's first of all, let me introduce myself at first. I'm Thomas. I'm a marketeer at Aspero. I'm here for some technical support, and my colleagues Matthijs, the innovation manager, and Mark, our chairman CEO, will tell you more about the Sonico in this webinar. So let's quickly go to the agenda. So first, I will kick it off with some practical information about the do's and don'ts of the webinar, how you can ask questions, and etc. Then I will give the floor to Matthijs, and he will tell you more about the Sonico 3.0, what's in it for you, and some frequently asked questions that we've gathered until now. In that segment, there will also be room for questions of yourself, which we can answer then. And finally, we will finish it off with Mark, who will tell us a little bit about what's next for in the future for Aspero and Sonico. So yeah. And if you have any questions, you can send them to the chat. But more about that in the practical information. So let me start with telling you that this webinar is being recorded. So if we are going too fast or some things are unclear, we are going to send this recording to you after this webinar. Probably by the end of this week, you will have the edited version of this webinar, so you can watch it back at your own pace, which can be nice. There will be room for questions. As you've noticed, you are muted, but you can ask quick questions in the chat. There's also room for a Q&A. If you hover over, if you see the toolbar, there is this text balloon with the question mark in it. And in it, you can ask questions during this webinar. We will receive them and moderate them, and we'll publish them if it is of use for the entire group. And in the frequently asked questions segment, we will come back to them and answer all of your questions. Furthermore, yeah, that was about it. I want to test one thing just before we start with the interesting part of this webinar. We have the ability, if everything works, to do some polls. So I'm going to launch one and see if it works. We've got a poll right now. Yes. Did you watch our Sonico 3.0 video? And you can answer it, and we will get some live results. Okay, this is just a test, just to be sure that this works, so we can add it if we need to into the webinar. Cool, this is nice. Okay, that was it about the practical stuff about the webinar. Let's get into the Sonico 3.0, and I'd love to give the floor to my colleague Matthijs, and he will tell you more.
Yes, thank you, Thomas. So, hello everyone. As Thomas told you, I'm Matthijs. I am Innovation Manager at Aspero. Some of you have met me before, others maybe not. So a very brief introduction of my role at Aspero. is that I try to manage all our innovation projects, which can be developments of new products, improvements of current products, development of new processes, so belonging to those new products, or even services in different markets. So it's a very wide, let's say, spectrum of new things, trying to set new steps into the future. Today, I want to tell you something more about the Sonico 3.0, as we call it. But because we have only 1 hour planned, I will not go into very much of a detail into everything. I will give a short introduction to the development of the new product. I will answer the most asked questions, which we have seen the last weeks, and maybe some other questions coming up during the webinar. So feel free to share your questions. And if I'm not able to answer them right now, we will come back to you later. So, Sonico 3.0, a little bit about background, an introduction, and as I've seen in the poll, most of you have seen the video which we made. If you did not see the video, please watch it, because it is quite interesting to see the story behind the new Sonico and how we developed it. To sum up, the most important things is that we try to be less depending on the human factor in general, not trying to get rid of our people, of course, but to do more with the same amount of people, and also not being depending on the human knowledge. Our current process and product is very depending on what everyone knows in the factory. So you need to know where does the holes need to come, and all those exceptions of all the product variations. In the new product, we try to store or solve the hardest things, the things that need knowledge into machines. So we have invested in at least 2 new machines, but also new layout of the factory, all in order to let machines do where they are good in, being repetitive working and making the exact right specifications of the product. So our people are free to develop new things and do the special projects for you and your clients. The other thing which is very important at the moment is the supply chain, which was already during COVID very important. But now with the Russian situation, it is even more important. And things like this big ship, the Ever Given, which was blocking the Suez Canal, it shows that in general the world is very depending on the supply chain, and we also that is what we admitted. So we are at the moment buying from, for example, the Far East, and we are depending a little bit on that. So that is also a goal for the new Sonico. And in the new Sonico, we are able to source all our products nearby, which means in Europe, or maybe even closer in Holland only. So we were very more flexible and not relying on these, the Far East, for example. Then we have data, which was also very important in this project. We tried to see, okay, what is the most important thing to our product? What are the most important properties and the most important variations that we deliver, and try to focus on that scope. On the right side of the screen, you see 2 examples. The upper image being the big the big part of this circle is representing only basic panels and telescopic panels of our product portfolio of Sonico. It is, let's say, 60 to 70%. And the other part is about doors, build-on corners, glass openings, and so on and so on, including basic panels. Yeah, correct.
With something exceptional.
Yeah. So it shows us that in basic, we have a lot of possibilities in our product, but in the essence, we deliver a lot of, let's say, simple partitions, which is also shown in the lower figure, where you see it is not, you cannot read it, I think, but what you see is the wall height, and there is the biggest part is below 3 meters. So, okay, we deliver up to 10, 11, 12, maybe higher, but the main, let's say 80% of what we deliver is up to 3 meters. So we've chosen to set a limited scope of only basic panels and telescopic panels and 3 meters wall height to start with, which makes it very controllable, this development process. And that gave us a lot of control on the design process. And some other examples are that we delivered pilots in real life of the new product together with some clients in different markets, for example, in Holland or in France. So we were able to test in real life the changes we made and to remove the last bits and pieces that are maybe some loose ends to solve these issues. Another very interesting thing is sound insulation. We put a lot of effort into sound insulation because we believe that this is a very important property of our product in our market. And we also believe that we need to be very, very good on this issue and cannot cheat on everything. So we find it very important to have this thing very well developed. So we did, for example, 130 measurements in total, spread over 5 testing periods in Fraunhofer, Germany, which in the end resulted into, let's say, 10 or 11 certificates. But this shows how much effort is going into only these 11 certificates. And we are very proud of the outcome, which I will show a little bit later in the webinar. The other thing is that we designed both product and the process, and that we focused on making it 100% ready before releasing it to the market. In earlier design stages, design process of other products, we have seen that sometimes you want to go maybe too fast because you're excited about your new product, but it makes that your start into the market is not optimal. So we took our time, better safe than sorry, to develop the product and the process 100% ready. And that's where we are at the moment. Okay, so that a little bit of an introduction into the product. What is in it for you? Well, as I told in the video, the product itself does not change that much. And that is exactly what we wanted, because we believe the Sonico in principle is good, is a fit to the market, has enough choices, and okay, improvements can be made. But in basic, it is a good product. So we didn't want to change that much on the product itself. I want to highlight 2 things which are interesting for you among all other kind of benefits. The 2 that I want to explain a little bit is the first one being reliability, both now and in the future. And that is what I told about the supply chain, the being less depending on the human factor. What we see is all these influences around us. We are trying to be less influenced by these things. So getting new employees is very hard. So when we have a process less depending on the human factor, then we are less depending on or less influenced by these kind of things around us. So that makes us more reliable to you as a client to deliver our promises. Also for the future, when we want to grow or to expand to new markets or expand in current markets, we believe that what we did now is giving us more flexibility in doing so. At the same time, making our promises and holding it to you. The second one, which I want to highlight, is weight of the panels. That is a very interesting outcome of the sound insulation tests. In this small table, you see a comparison between the old product and the new product. In an average, we saved per square meter 17 to 20% in weight per panel. That means that, well, that is a huge decrease of the weight. If you have, for example, a Sonico 110 52 dB panel from, let's say, 1.2 wide and 3 meters high, it changes from the old product 160 kilograms to the new product 120 kilograms. That is a decrease of 40 kilos, which is quite much. And that is over the complete range. So not only the higher values, but also the lower values have a weight saving in it. That is, we think, very interesting when thinking of installing the panels, transportation, and so on. Okay. We have a question saying, are you sharing a document? We can't see it. Well, we have a presentation in the center screen. That is where I'm referring to. Hope you can see that. Otherwise, we will send it later to you.
Can nobody see it or just?
Thomas, can you check if nobody can see it?
Yes, we are sharing the presentation. It should be up on the screen. Thanks for the input.
Okay, everybody sees it apart from Colin. Hang on. Colin, you might have your laptop the wrong way around, mate. Okay, everyone can see it. Okay.
Okay, great, thanks. Then moving on to frequently asked questions. We have some questions received, and if you have questions now popping up, then no problem. So while Thomas is trying to fix the question of the person not able to seeing the presentation, I move on with the first question which we received, which is about a project where you have multiple walls. For example, one of the partition being in the scope, which we released for the Sonico 3.0, and maybe other partitions not being part of the scope. So what should we do with these kind of projects? Are we delivering two products or what is the solution? Well, our advice is that you deliver only one product to each project. So even if some partitions could be made in the new Sonico, we advise to deliver the current Sonico to prevent your client from having questions about two different types of partitions and so on. Of course, you know best what are the possibilities in a project. So if you feel that it is possible to deliver, for example, on one floor of a building, only new Sonicos, and on another floor, the current Sonico, no problem at all. But our advice should be stick with the current product. Second question is about the sound insulation values. For the new Sonico, we are releasing new laboratory values in steps of 2 dB. So starting from 38 in steps of 2 dB to 40, 42, 44, and so on, up to 54 at the moment. So what if you offered in the current product in an earlier stage, for example, a 47 dB partition? What should you deliver to your client? Well, it's a bit similar to the question before. We advise to choose a higher dB value in Sonico 3.0, for example, in this case 48 dB, to be sure that you have your client's need covered. But in some cases, maybe in cooperation with your client, it is possible to go for a 46. That's up to you, but we advise to choose a 48. Another interesting thing is about assembling the panel on site. Is that possible? Is it possible to receive the finish and the frames as separate parts? Yes, that is possible. We are able to deliver frames and finishes separate from each other on one pallet or one delivery. And that is very interesting because you're able to maybe install with fewer amount of employees, of installers, or transport it by a stair instead of a elevator if there is no elevator in the building or whatsoever. So yes, that is possible. There is also a instruction manual where is explained how to install and assemble the panels on site. Okay, so that is for now the questions we received, and we have saved some space for additional questions if you have some. So please feel free to put those in the chat or in the Q&A or whatever. Very welcome.
There are no questions in the Q&A right now. So if you'd like to ask a question, please do.
Yeah.
I see your question column about lead time. Does it mean the delivery time? Matthijs, can you take this question?
Sure. Yes, thanks for the question. In general, it is the same as the current Sonico. Maybe in the future we have new ideas about that, but for now, it's all the same to make it easy for everyone.
Previous email.
I can see some more questions coming in. Mark Atkins, when finished boards are separate, when are they fixed to frames? After hanging frames in track? Question mark. Again, this is a question for you, Matthijs. I also see a question of Ricardo. The new technical files are available. Yes, I can answer that. They are available. They were in the previous mail. If you haven't already had the files, I will send you after this webinar the entire mail with all the technical details.
Yep, I can answer the question of Mark Atkins about the finish and the frames. It is exactly as you state in your question, that you hang the frames into the track and then you put the boards into it, and the absorption material is already assembled into the frame. The bitumen, the mass, is already applied to the finish if the sound insulation value needs bitumen, of course. I also see some more questions. One is, can you deliver the frame only? Well, a good question. Technically, that is possible. And I think by that question, you mean that you are able to provide your own finish on site. Let's say in the future, we allow to do so. But for this new product, we advise to start that we deliver the finish together with the frames. So we have influence on the quality inspection. Then I see a question from Joe Doyle. Can we use Rectanfinish with the Sonico 3.0? Is it compatible with the new profile? Interesting question. In the future, it definitely will be possible. At the moment, we excluded it from the scope, since we have seen that it is only a very limited percentage of what we do at the moment. On the other hand, for example, if you have a very big project, then we are very open to discuss this, because then we are able to put some development capacity into it, because it would be interesting for both parties to do so. But to start with, it is not into the scope. Yeah. Last question that came in from Mark Atkins: has the mechanism changed? No, the mechanism is the same. So if you are need in service or whatever, it is the same as the current Sonico. Sorry? Yeah, Mark informed me about the new seals. The mechanism at the moment is the same. So for example, the space and top and bottom of the panel is, let's say, 20 millimeters. The seals are designed in a way that we are able to provide a high seal for bigger deflection in the floor in the future on an easy way. So it is already incorporated into the design, but at the moment not released. Okay, so thanks for questions. If you have any coming up later, please send them over. No problem at all. We are happy to answer them. I think I forward the stage to Mark from here.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to Matthijs. Thank you to Thomas. What's next? Well, this has been a long process, developing the Sonico 3.0, but not as long as it could have been. We decided to break it up into parts. So as you've probably heard from or realized from Matthijs and you saw in the video, we tried to keep the scope quite small to start with. I think one of the interesting pieces of data, the most interesting piece of data, is that 60% of all Sonicos that we produce are basic panels, telescopic panels, no doors, no communication panels, simple orders in the color white. And what we've decided to do was to aim for this 60% as quickly as possible. whilst incorporating improvements into the panel. What's next? Yeah, we will, as you've already probably seen in the technical details and in the video that we've already sent out, the sound ratings 56 and 58 dB, they will be coming soon. That actually is probably one of the first things that we will release in a second phase, and that has actually to do with some new profiles that we will use for the top and bottom seals. We are now going to start work on, or have already started work on, the door design. And again, there we've decided to keep the scope quite low. So what we're going to do is make an equivalent door to what we have, is stage 1. And stage 2 will be to put all the things that everybody wants and would like in the new door panel, to make improvements, but we want to get it out onto the market as quickly as possible. And as far as innovations go for the rest of this year, we've made some general improvements on the Flex Show, which will be coming out in the next few months. And for the rest, it's going to be service. We're going to be releasing some interesting ways of drawing and some interesting ways of you interacting with us, so it's more of a service level. I don't want to say too much because it's quite exciting, and it will. I don't want to mow the grass from under anyone's feet because it's been a nice process. We're launching a pilot on a special project actually next week. And I'm hoping that by the summer we'll be able to release it into more markets. So that's interesting. I've told you absolutely nothing basically, but there is definitely something coming on the service level. Yeah, what else can I say, Matthijs? What else is coming soon? Yeah, I think that what's important is that everything that we're doing at the moment, especially with the Sonico 3.0, is and the reason why we're keeping parallel products with the old Sonico and the new Sonico is because we really believe that the future of Aspiro as a company, but also of the mobile wall market, is that we are trying to standardize and instead of producing to order, we are going to be engineering to order for, let's say, 80% of our turnover, and that 60% of that is already covered in the 3.0 with the white basic panels under 3 meters, and that extra 20% is where we want to concentrate with our people on large projects, exciting projects, special projects, snow leveling systems, anything that's special, and we want to develop that part of the market much further. So by standardizing and engineering to order on 80% of our turnover, we want to create that space to be able to still be the producer out there in the market who's always prepared to develop something new for a particular project. So by making the 80% standard, we will reduce the amount of time that everybody is involved in, from the sales process to the production process to the installation, so that we can really develop this more exciting part of the market. Yeah. Has anyone? I can't believe that no one has got any more questions about this new product that we're bringing out. Saving the old system. Okay. Thanks, Robert. Well, we will be saving versus the old system, I think, is actually what you're asking. At the moment, because we're running them concurrently, we've got double stock. We're going to have 2 production lines because, as Matthijs said, we've got a complete new production line set up for this product. It's been engineered to be produced on 1 line, so we want to make a panel every 7 minutes. That's the aim on this production line, is every 7 minutes will come out a panel out of the production line. Whereas what we're doing right now is we're working with different production centers to produce different panels, and we're pushing frames into an assembly department, as a lot of you have probably already seen when you visited our factory. The aim is to create a saving on the cost price of the product. Yes, but at the moment we haven't realized that. But under the current climate, we know that our sales price is under pressure. We obviously understand that very, very well. So we're trying to do everything we can to look at reductions in the production price. But at the moment, we're keeping it at the same price level as the old Sonico. Mark Burney's just asked, are the wool jams going to change? Yes and no. It's a very good question. The wool jams, as such, at the moment, as I think Mark is trying to refer to, we deliver as a do-it-yourself package rather than a pre-made wool jam. We will change the wool jams to being produced in the factory to a package. However, part of the payoff of that and part of the payoff of standardization is that we will no longer within the 3.0 make them to measure, i.e. If you want a wool jam of 89 millimeters because you've got a radiator or whatever it is that's in the way, instead of our standard 65, we will produce it as 100 millimeters. So you will get a choice of standard 65, 100, 150. This means that we will be able to pre-make them on stock, and that's the payoff, basically. I hope that I've explained that well. Mark Atkins, any EPDs yet? My view on EPDs is maybe controversial. EPDs are a recipe, and they don't give you any idea as to whether a product is actually environmentally friendly or not. You could have nuclear waste in your product and still have an EPD. Morally, I think an EPD is actually rubbish. However, I'm aware that we do have competitors who have EPDs and shout about that's the solution to environmental questions. However, as I'm sure everyone is aware, we are the only company who has cradle to cradle, and we will continue with cradle to cradle. The short answer to that is I got a quotation in front of me this morning for the cost of EPDs for all of our products, and it was 25,000 euros. So I've told Matthijs and his department that we will not be doing that at the moment, that we will be looking for an alternative supplier for EPDs. But yes, they will come. I think it's inevitable. Natasha asks, possible shorter lead time for Sonico 3.0? 3.0? Yes, but at the moment we are keeping it the same because we also are developing the product. But yes, in the long term, medium to long term, yes, we believe that when we are fully operational with doors, etc., that we will be able to offer the best delivery time in the market. Correct, Matthijs? You agree? Yeah. Okay. Oh, Mark Atkins agrees with me. Thank you. Somebody does. Okay. What kind of fireproof certification on the new Sonico? Absolutely zero at the moment. We have not at the moment. We've absolutely not concentrated on fire ratings. As you know, we have a 30-minute fire rating within the original Sonico. And we sell very, very little the markets where we know that fire rating is requested, we're seeing less and less requests for it. And what is requested is 1 hour. It is the amount of requests are so low that unless somebody comes up with a good business case for us, we won't invest in it for the moment. Okay, I hope I've been clear on that. Will the Sonico 120 become obsolete? Is the plan to increase the bit mix in the 110 to achieve up to 58? No, Joe, good news. We've already got 58 dB in the new 3.0. We've got it. We've got the certificate, but we're just not releasing it out into the market at the moment because we used a proof run of profiles, and we are now waiting for it's basically a supply issue now, Matthijs. It's a supply issue as to when we get the new top and bottom seal profiles to be able to release the 58 dB. And as you're aware, the Sonico 120, we don't produce doors. We don't agree with making doors at 58 dB because it's useless. So we will probably introduce the new 110 58 dB to the market as quickly as possible. Once we've got those the supplies sorted. Joseph would like to come in. Okay. Okay. Will the lead times for frame and boards be better than complete going forward? No, Mark. Mark is that's a question from Mark Burney. No, we've actually got more work when we supply the board separately because we have to put glue paper onto the frames to stop the sound insulating materials, the rock wool, as it were, from falling out of the frame. So that's actually a longer process to deliver without boards than with boards. Scott is asking, will there be more flexibility with regards to carrier positions? No. Is the short answer. We want to get away from. We do not want to produce eccentric panels anymore. Carriers will be made to measure for us, but we want to continue with the 750, 600, 450. However, what we do have with this new product is that as you're probably aware, the minimum distance from edge of telescopic sleeve to wheel was 200. That is now less, and we will give you further information on that, which means that smaller panels will also be able to be on larger carriers, which we know is better for the maneuverability of the panels.
What I can add to that is perfectly right what you're telling, Mark, is that we have technically seen more flexibility. So maybe in the future, when we are phasing out the current Sonico, then we are able to choose more maybe carrier standards, carrier distances, maybe in a smaller steps from 750 to 800, 850, and so on, to deliver more flexibility.
Yeah.
But at the moment, we stick to both products having the same properties to make it easier for both parties.
Yeah, because there will be orders which have been sold as the old product, which will be delivered as the new product. So we don't want to deviate too much because the track is staying the same, certainly at the moment. Ali has asked, will there also be a Visio 100 based on the Sonico 103.0 in the future? Yes, absolutely. But the priority today is the door panels, communication panels. But that will be the step afterwards. Still fireproof available until when? Semi-automatic Sonico 3. Okay, good question, Ricardo. Okay, number one, I'll deal with the fire. We will give you good notice of when we will stop making the old Sonico. So yes, and it's a decision that we still need to make together with you as to whether we will have any sort of fire rating on the future product. We don't rule out a 30-minute wall. We don't rule out a 1-hour wall in the future, but we need more information from you guys as to just what the market potential is. We don't feel that we're missing a large part of the market or larger projects because we don't have it at the moment. But if we're wrong, we love to be proved wrong. And the second part of your question was semi-automatic Sonico, new Sonico available. Matthijs?
Yeah, thank you. We are working hard on that issue. In the future, for sure, it will be available. We have we believe that the product itself gives us some advantages. So we're working hard on that, and we will come back as soon as we have news on that. In addition to the question of Ricardo, what I feel a bit in that question is, am I able to offer all the current Sonico options into the market when we are in a transition from the current product to the new product? And yes, everything we are offering at the moment, we are offering during the transition.
From day one, we've always said that the new Sonico must do everything that the old Sonico does or better. As simple as that. And obviously, or better or fantastic is the aim. So if we do not have the fire rating and you need a fire rating, then either we will have to get the new product fire rated, or we will keep that old product on for as long as we need to. But just to go back, sorry, just to go back to the semi-automatic on the new Sonico, it'll be better. Matthijs is working on it. And cheaper. Okay. Do the new profiles work with the telescopic wall jamb, or will this be developed to suit after the door panels? Give us the headache. It's probably one of the easiest things that we can actually put straight onto the new product, but we'd like to have if you have a project where there's no doors in and it's within the scope, the only thing that's not in the scope is the telescopic wall jamb. Give us the headache, and we'll the amount of hours that we need to develop it is minimal compared to the door or semi-automatic, etc. So agreed, Matthijs? Yeah, he has to. I'm his boss. So. But no, that's absolutely okay. Any more questions at the moment? Matthijs, anything more to say at the moment?
Yeah, well, you told us at the start of this session about what's next, about this split between 80%, let's say, standard products and 20% of special projects. And I want to share a bit of a story about a project we did in Budapest, Hungary. I think it was last year or maybe the year before.
Both.
Both. It was one of our biggest projects, if not the biggest project we've ever done.
It was definitely the biggest mobile wall project that we've done until now.
The biggest, correct, the biggest mobile wall project we've done. And it is a perfect example of what we think of as a company, where our strengths are. So in basic, we have 80% of our standard products delivered to you in a very, very good way, which we are developing at the moment, these services, what Mark told you. On the other hand, we then have our human capacity available for these special projects. And this project in particular was a very big, let's say, conference center, exhibition center, having the problem of snow load. So it was a very long partition of 70 meters. In fact, several partitions of 70 meters long. So very long. And under snow load, it could deflect 150 millimeters or something like that, and which is huge for a mobile partition. And no one ever has thought about that issue. And we came in the process and asked only this question. So what happened when it is snowing? And it is snowing in Hungary. So then a problem occurred for the contractor, the client, and so on. And we solved that issue in a very short period. Basic panels, telescopic panels, even door panels in it, being able to absorb this 150 millimeters of deflection of the construction. And no other one could promise to solve this issue. And this is what we are
the time allowed.
not in the available time. So this is our position in the market, which we would like to extend. So at one side, standardize the main products and delivering very good products to the market. And on the other hand, making very nice special projects, and these both next to each other. So yeah, I would like to emphasize that we at Aspero believe in these two main, how should I call it? Sorry?
Pillars. That's
Pillars.
the fundamentals of the business, yeah.
Correct. Fundamental pillars to our business. So yes, we are looking forward to work furthermore with you together on these two things.
It sounds slightly rigid, but it's not meant to be. But basically, if it doesn't fit into what we would call the standard products, and the standard product range is huge, then it goes into the 20%, in which, you know, when we are happy to use our innovation department to develop a new product very quickly, and we've proven time and time again that we can do that. But we need to develop product, services, and standardize parts of the products to be able to create more time within our human resources to work on these on special projects. But we'll be discussing that further with you probably in our next webinar, if there's another one. If you want to listen next time. Mark has just asked, is there any video footage of the Budapest walls in use? Not yet. I'm going to look at Thomas. We're planning on sending somebody there. Have we got permission or?
Yeah, exactly. What we're well, that's a work in progress on in the moment, but we will make a big footage of a big deal out of that Budapest reference case and some others as well. So there will be video footage in the future.
Yeah, Ricardo, a very good point, and that's the reason why I don't think you've seen Thomas before. Thomas, how long have you been here now? Around 6 months?
Yeah, since February. I'm here since
Sorry,
February.
yeah, not even 6 months, no. Ricardo, you will realize it's the first time. I know that none of you are physically in the same room, but it's the first time we've actually had all of our or a lot of our agents in one room at the same time. We've put you on mute because otherwise it would be a nightmare. But we want to definitely, what we're going to do over the next coming months, coming years, is to create a community also of our clients, because we know that we can learn from each other, and that we can benefit from each other. This is an area where we're going to spend more time, definitely, Ricardo.
Yeah. Just to add, Ricardo, that's a major part of what I'm here and what I'm going to do in the future for Aspero. We believe that the projects of Aspero are a unique selling point. So that's things that we're going to highlight in the future much more.
Yeah. Ali has just asked if we have a new request for a Sonico to 47 and below 3 meters high. May we offer new? Yeah, Ali, 54 dB and under. As long as there are no doors, no problem. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. Okay. If we have a new, yeah, you have to make a choice between 48 and 46. That's correct. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think we're about at our hour level. Oh, we're exactly at our hour level, funnily enough. Are there any more questions? Shall we just give it 30 seconds to see if there are any more questions coming in? What we've noticed is that a lot of people didn't get our email that we've been sending. That's been sent out with MailChimp. And it could be that that's gone into your spam filter. Apparently that happens if your server is told to refuse MailChimp, because obviously a lot of things get sent with MailChimp. A lot of spam gets sent with MailChimp. What it does for us is it means that we were able to monitor whether you've actually opened the mail or not and who's had the right information and when. So that's the reason why we did it like that. Thomas will send out all of the technical details and commercial details that we've already sent out in case you didn't get it. And then if there are any further questions, then don't hesitate. Robert's asking the $1 million question, Matthijs.
Yep, it's a very hard question. Well, the answer is maybe hard for me to give. When are you hoping to offer pass door? Well, the aim is this year, but as I told before, we are trying to have a very controlled development process, and also on doors we would offer pilot projects and incorporate improvements on the product. So let's say we aim for this year, but I am not able to promise anything at the moment.
Yeah, it very much depends on which way we're going. So we're doing a kind of pre study at the moment, and it could be that we do it maybe even in 3 phases. That we, for example, deliver the 100 with a door now, but the 110 comes later. We're not sure. We should have in 4 weeks. We should have an idea of exactly in which direction we're going, and we'll be able to give you a better answer then. Mark has asked, I would also be interested to see the live load deflection details and calculations as becoming more of an issue going forward. Yeah, Mark, interesting question. I think that's quite technical, and I'm not quite sure if I know exactly what you mean. Maybe we should have a one-on-one conversation with you to see what you mean by that and how we can deal with it. Yeah. Matthijs will contact you to discuss that. Okay. The snow load. The snow load. Okay. I think he means the snow load. Okay. Mark, you've got more snow in Ireland now. Is that the problem? Is global warming changing the weather in Ireland? It's not just raining; it's also snowing, or? Mind you, we've delivered it more or less exactly the same into places we've got absolutely no snow whatsoever. So, no cheap engineer. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
My suggestion is that I put some information of this snow load project. We have kind of different products available.
Yeah.
That we send out to everyone in this meeting, and maybe all the other clients, a bit more information on snow load in general.
Yeah.
We have also wind influence, having the construction going upwards instead of going downwards. So it's a very complicated issue.
If the hangar doors are open on a very large building, then very often the entire roof construction goes up rather than down. And we also have a solution for that. And interestingly, Mark, you said with thin floors, I completely agree with that. We also have a solution where the entire weight of the panel comes on the floor instead of it on the track. It is a track suspended system. But again, maybe we need to. It's quite interesting. Maybe we need to make a sort of specials brochure to show people exactly what we've done and what we're capable of. We're a little bit too modest sometimes as to what we can and can't do. Yeah, 20 to 40 millimeters deflection. Maybe we can even do that within the 3.0 in the standard product when we go into phase 2. Yeah, that's something we can look at. Okay. Yeah. We have an interesting project with Vision 100. So blind sketcher, we can. Okay, great. Thank you, Ricardo.
Yeah, thank you, Ricardo. I'll contact you after the webinar, because I'm always happy to see agents with amazing projects. So.
In general, we need you guys to send us as much content as possible to help Thomas in our marketing. You know, we really want to tell the world now about where we've been. You know, I think it's been obvious to everybody that we've been working, let's say, over the last years under the radar to not tell our competitors just how many projects that Aspiro does and where they do these projects, and et cetera, but now we want to shout it from the rooftops and let everybody know that we're here and we're able to do all of these special projects. So I think that Mark Burney is looking to have some Dutch beers. He would like to come over to discuss it. No problem, Mark. You're welcome whenever you want.
You're very welcome.
Very welcome.
Every time people are visiting us, we see that they are amazed by what we are able to do.
Yeah.
And indeed, it is what Mark told. We are maybe a bit too humble.
Yeah.
Or maybe with the reserved sharing project, but it is very interesting to see what we are busy doing with.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I want to do as well, because I know that travel is still a nightmare, and we're running up to summer now, so everyone's getting very busy. I think what I'd like to do, Thomas, is also make a video of the new production line and the new machines that we have, so the guys can see what we've done already.
Yeah, I think that's a very good idea. For me, a major point from this webinar is that well, there's a lot to do for Aspiro marketing in projects and cool stuff.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
Okay. Okay, guys, this is. I think maybe we're going to round up. So it's been our first time of doing a webinar. I hope it's been okay for you. It's been fine for us. Yeah. But please be critical, and if there's any way that you think we can improve, then let us know. Okay. Thank you very much, and see you all soon. Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay, let's just switch my camera off. Don't go out. There's a nice comment.